Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Dirty Martini. I'm going to be fully honest with you. Also, I hope you're doing well and I hope you're having an amazing day. I'm going to be fully honest with you. This is my third attempt to record this episode in the past 10 minutes, and I keep deleting everything I've recorded because I'm just so dissatisfied with my lack of flow today. But the thing is, my English has not been Englishing at all. Today, I feel like I have just been unable to finish a sentence, first of all. And like, even if I do finish a sentence, it sounds so nonsensical. And if it reminds you of a certain political figure, a certain global leader, I wonder why. Well, I didn't vote for them, but usually the thing is, you know how last week I told you that I am going to come in here. I promised, and I'm sorry I did not stick to my word, even though I usually am a woman of my word. But I promised you last week that do I now have to stop recording because my housemate just went to the bathroom and I share a wall with the bathroom, and I feel like you can hear everything. Although my not classmate, I mean, she is my classmate, my friend. Oh my god, my guys, you are in for a treat today because I genuinely have no clue what I'm saying. But my friend today told me that every single time I say and I point out geese or revving engines or plumbing, you cannot hear anything, which is very reassuring for me. But also, you might think that I'm schizophrenic or like paranoid, and I promise you those sounds do exist. And the reason I'm pointing them out is because it's one of those types of thing that, like, if you make fun of yourself, nobody else can make fun of you because you're taking away their power and you're taking narrative of your story. But apparently you cannot hear it. So if you heard my housemate flushing, I'm sorry. And if you didn't, oh well. Speaking of plumbing, I just want you to know that I am an amazing repair woman. Because for the I don't know what time, our drain in the bathroom is clogged. And the proactive housemaid I am, again, unclogged it myself. So that's nice because it was genuinely going to flood our entire bathroom, and that would have not been fun because where I work, the restaurant was flooded last week, and it flooded the day after I closed the restaurant. And when I heard that this happened, I was like, I am so getting fired. But thank God it was not my fault. It was just the sinks we have are one of those that stop automatically, which I personally really hate. I mean, it's nice because it saves water, but I hate it because while I'm in the middle of washing my hands, the water always cuts off, and I really don't appreciate this. But so one of those just did not stop somehow, or it started like because of pressure, and it flooded the restaurant. So that was fun, exciting, and colorful and bright. And I was so terrified when I heard about this because I initially thought, because I saw videos, and my immediate thought was not, oh, the sink in the bathroom just did not stop working. My thought was, I forgot to close the freezer, and I ruined everything. I ruined the freezer, and I made all the food go bad. And I was like, not only am I going to get fired, I am going to get fined. But none of this happened, and it was just all in my head, as your dear near friend Ariana Grande would say. So shout out to me for not flooding the restaurant. I'm so happy I didn't do it because I just don't feel like flooding places. But anyways, so today, guys, as you can probably tell by now, the thing I think I started telling you this and then I forgot. Yeah, this is exactly what the narrative and the vibe are going to be like today. Actually, I'm in a very silly, goofy mood, but also I am a little bit disturbed. But let's do it one by one. So today, as you can tell, I have no plan of what I'm going to do. Another housemate just went to the bathroom. I don't know what to say. Guys, microphone coming in soon. Studio, I cannot afford, but microphone coming in soon. And when I go to Bulgaria and just I have my own, well, in Bulgaria, my room is also, what is it with my rooms wherever I go, always being just sharing a wall with the bathroom? I feel like that's just a sign from the universe that's like is it implying something? I don't know. Maybe one day, if hopefully in this housing crisis I ever get the chance to have my own place, even if it's just renting, hopefully my bedroom is for the first time not attached to my toilet. That would be really nice. Anyways, so as you can tell, I have no plan about today. I know last week I promised you that I am going to tune in with a plan, that I am going to tune in with structure. Guys, I never lied to you, but this time I really again am just not slacking, I'm just overwhelmed. I don't have a plan, I have concepts of a plan, but I'm just severely overwhelmed. Also, I need you to know that I have 12% on my phone, and if I tune off in a certain second, well, I think it's just the universe telling me to go to bed, because I have been so sleep deprived that it is just crazy. Shout out to naps, and actually the naps I keep taking every day are no longer than 9 minutes, and it's just crazy that within 9 minutes I can fall asleep and then sleep and then wake up, and those 9 minutes are such power inducing naps, and I really really appreciate them, and they're the only thing that's keeping me from breaking apart, because I am on the verge. Because the thing is, for the past 3 weeks, actually, I haven't had a day off. And there are no prospects of me getting a break anytime soon. Because the thing is, in a week, and weeks, the way we perceive them according to the Gregorian, I think is how you pronounce it, calendar, they have 7 days. And in a week, I have 3 days of university and 5 days of work. And if you think that this doesn't add up, exactly. Because I have just no days off and I'm extremely overwhelmed. And the only thing that is keeping me together is, I don't know, this new Lego set that I built, because for my birthday, I got a new Lego set, and it's sunflowers, and I love sunflowers. And now at least I have a nice little bouquet of flowers from Lego and Lego roses. The thing is, though, that both of those, so the sunflowers are 2 and the roses are 22. And the thing is, you never, ever, ever give an even number of flowers to a Balkan woman. I am going to generalize and say the Balkans, even though it might be only a Bulgarian thing. But the thing is, you in Bulgaria, you are only supposed to give an odd number of flowers in a bouquet. So you, for example, those roses are 22. You either give me 21 or 23. The sunflowers, they're 2. You give me 1 or give me 3. And the reason is because in my culture, an even number of flowers is only assembled in a bouquet if you are going to give that to a deceased person, if you're going to lay it on their coffin or on their grave. 2 is for the dead. Not 2. An even number is for the dead, and an odd number is for the living. And it's just so extremely crazy and fascinating to me how different cultures, when it comes to something so simple as flowers, have different perceptions and different rituals and different understandings. Because, for example, if you give a certain flower, well, apart from the numbers that I just explained, but also different flowers in different cultures symbolize different things. And in Bulgaria, let me look up the name of the flower in English because I am so bad with names of flowers in Bulgarian. I can only tell you like what roses and tulips and like sunflowers look like, but I'm just extremely incompetent when it comes to green thumbing because I have killed cacti, guys. Cacti, not cactus. Cacti. I have killed multiple. And you know, I am one of those people who like I would love to be able to take care of a plant, but I'm just unable to. And people say, "Oh yeah, get a cactus. Like you only need to water it like once or twice a week or something." Like even that was like I think one of them I drowned and the other one I just, deprived of water for so long that it died. That plant is built to survive in the desert and I killed it in my own home where I have access to water. That is just crazy. And the thing is, I've been wanting to buy, like, let's say a basil plant or a mint plant or something like this, rosemary, just an herb plant. But with my traveling back and forth to Bulgaria every 2 to 3 months, who's going to take care of my basil plant? Yeah, I don't know. So maybe I should just like try it. Maybe next year. Maybe next year, like this is going to be something that brings me joy. Also, speaking of, oh wait, I was going to look up the thing of this the name of the flower. But I just wanted to say that last week I had a very fun Dora the Explorer adventure with my housemate. So I was walking home and I don't know how, but I noticed her because the thing is I walk outside without my glasses and I almost always have headphones on, so I just ignore whatever is happening around me, which my mom doesn't necessarily love because she's like, you need to be alert. And I am alert. If at night I never do this, but like during the day, I allow myself to listen to music or a podcast on my way somewhere. So I noticed my housemate and she was just like carrying her plant that was in the hallway. And I was like, girl, what are you doing? So we ended up going on an adventure where we went to the lake that is close to our place and we stole, or like let's say borrowed, because what is theft? But like we borrowed dirt and just soil from the lake there. And I don't know if that's, I mean, it cannot be illegal, right? Like it's just soil. Like even if it's a garden that is upkept by the government and the municipality, it is still soil. And who can tell me that soil does not belong to the earth? And we, as the occupants of earth, are entitled to soil. Anyways, what is the name of the... Oh, also, by the way, during that time, one of the geese, I think this might have been payback for all the time I should talk them on the podcast, but one of the geese, I feel like she was just trying to be friendly. I feel like she was just lonely and wanted to befriend us. My housemate thought she was going to attack us, and she might have been right. And that goose was very determined in its approach towards us. And when we started like running away from it, that's when it just, started calmly walking. And I felt so bad for it because I just wanted to pet it. I just wanted to hug it, to apologize for all the shit I've talked about it on my podcast. But the thing is, okay, my housemate is extremely justified in her fear of geese and ducks because she was attacked by them last year. But I am a delusional person. I am on the other end of the spectrum. I am what some might call stupid because I have this feeling, this innate feeling. I just know, I believe, I feel like I am just going to get along with any animal that crosses my way because I feel like those animals will just sense that I love animals, that I am friendly towards them, that I am a friend and not an enemy, and that I just want to pet them. Because I mean, hopefully I never encounter a bear when I'm alone in the woods, or like just in general. I honestly, if not friend, why friend shaped? But I hope I don't encounter bears in the wild, because I would probably shit myself, which I have heard might be a strategy that you might use to get rid of bears. But the thing is, I just feel like that bear is going to sense that I am not aggressive and that I don't wish it any harm. And she would just let me pet her and we will be best friends. We will be Masha and the bear. Not to sound too Eastern European Slavic, but it's just, I just know it. And I know this is delusional. And I know that if this were to happen in real life, I would just be torn into pieces. But I just know that animals can tell we have a special connection. That's why every single time I walk past someone who is walking their dog, I'm like, you and me, we see each other. We're good. Like you and I, we have a connection that other people just don't get. And even though I would never pet an aggressive dog, and I would actually never pet someone's dog without asking them for permission. So if you pet someone's dog without asking them for permission, you cannot hold the owner responsible for any consequences that might arise. But the thing is, I just feel like even aggressive dogs, even if they're known to be aggressive and to attack people, they're just going to sense my kind-heartedness towards them. And they're just going to be like, she's different. Am I being pick-me towards animals? Most definitely. Am I ashamed about it? No. I'd rather be pick-me about animals, dogs in particular, than people, men in particular. Thank you very much. Now wait, let me look up the name of that flower. Karamfil. Well, it would have been nice if I actually started typing. Karamfil. Clove. Carnation. Oh, carnation. Oh, it's in one of Taylor Swift's lyrics. Carnations you thought were roses. That's us. Okay, so carnations in Bulgaria, I don't know if in any other culture, but I might assume also in at least the Taylor Swift culture, they are a symbol. Well, not a symbol, but you give carnations to people who are deceased. You pick up an even number of carnations and you lay them down on the deceased person's coffin. So, for example, giving me as much as I love receiving flowers, and actually I don't receive many flowers, which really, really hurts me and it makes me super sad, which is why I have started just buying myself flowers, because I can buy myself flowers, write my name in the sand, talk to myself for hours, proving it right now, see things you don't understand. So I just buy myself flowers because I love receiving flowers, and I only receive flowers on my birthday from my grandparents, from their own garden, which is, oh my god, I'm tearing up. I just love receiving flowers. I think it's such a nice gesture, and I don't see it as, oh, that is something that's just going to last a few days and it's going to die. I dry all the flowers I have received. So on the 8th of March, for example, if you are a Balkan and you are a man and you don't give the women in your life flowers on the 8th of March, which is International Women's Day, you might as well, like, you're digging your own grave. You're not helping your case. So, for example, here, International Women's Day is not perceived with the importance with which I was raised that the 8th of March has. But my Romanian friend, he gifted me a flower on the 8th of March 2 years ago. That flower is still hanging in my room. I've tried it and I look at it every single day because I just love flowers. And I also have dried the bouquet my parents gifted me on my graduation day, which was like in October. And that's the thing. It's just, growing up, my mom would always dry the flowers she would receive from my dad. And at home, we have bouquets that are 25 years old. And I think that is just so beautiful. And this is such a nice souvenir to have of a moment you cherished and a moment you felt cherished. So yeah, what I wanted to say is that in Bulgaria, carnations are given to people who have passed. But maybe in another culture, carnations don't symbolize death or are not given with the intent to symbolize grief. So it is very, very important if you are going to give flowers to someone who is not from your own culture to make sure that this flower does not mean anything bad in that person's culture. I remember when I first arrived here and I started being exposed to so many cultures and so many different people, I was invited to the birthday party of this Spanish, well, at the time friend, like we just lost contact because she was a friend of my housemate. We weren't necessarily directly friends, but I was invited to her birthday and I didn't know what to get her because, again, we weren't necessarily close. And I love when I get birthday gifts for them to always be personal. But the thing is, I didn't know her. So I just thought, well, I will just get her a bouquet of flowers and a chocolate. And I remember talking to my Spanish housemate about what different flowers symbolize in Spain because I didn't want to potentially offend her by giving her a flower which in my culture symbolizes something that has the opposite meaning in Spanish culture. And what I've noticed is that here, this thing of even and odd numbers of flowers in a bouquet is not a thing. And if I am to buy a bouquet, well, now I buy myself tulips because I absolutely adore tulips. Roses used to be my favorite, but now tulips are so much up there. I love tulips. I think they're so beautiful and so dainty and just so elegant. And so when I go and buy a bouquet of tulips, they're always in a pack of 10 or 20, always an even number. So what I do is I either separate them into vases, and vases is like a strong word because I just use my chickpea jars because they are tall, they're narrow, and I think they look good. And also it's nice because I am just repurposing them, and I think I should also paint over them. But I either separate them into separate vases of an odd number of flowers, or I just give a single flower to my housemates until I get an odd number so that not only can they enjoy having flowers, but I can enjoy having an odd number of flowers in my home. Because if there's one thing I am, it is superstitious. But anyways, enough about flowers. I think in the beginning of this episode, or at least of this recording, because like I told you, I've tried to record this episode multiple times and it has not worked out. But in the beginning of this episode, I assume I told you that I am also disturbed, apart from only tired. Well, not only tired is what I meant. Again, English skills today are just non-existent, and I hope I'm making some sense because sense is being made, conceived, perceived in my mind. So the reason I am disturbed is because right after I started podcasting, I finished the last season of the series You on Netflix. And I would just like to start off by saying that I think Ben Badgley is a phenomenal actor. I actually have not seen him in anything else. I know he is in Gossip Girl. I've never seen Gossip Girl because right before I was about to start watching it, I was spoiled who Gossip Girl is. And it's one of those things that it's like the same way it was with Pretty Little Liars. You wait for 7 seasons, 22 episodes per season, 45 to 50 minutes per episode. You wait all of that. You struggle through all of that. You go through ups and downs just to find out in the last 5 minutes of the episode the answer to the question that was posed in the first 5 minutes of the first episode of season 1. So because I was spoiled who Gossip Girl is, girl, I still haven't seen the Minions, like the last movie. I probably should. But not tonight, because tonight we're still the moon. Oh my God, what am I doing with my life? What am I doing? What, like, in moments like these, in moments when I make an attempt of being humorous, I just start questioning every single thing I've done in my life, because you know what? Let's not go there. Let's go back to you. Hello, you. So, yeah, I haven't seen Gossip Girl, and I don't think I'm going to watch it, because now knowing the plot twist, I don't think it's worth it. I mean, it's probably worth it because there is a reason that show is that popular, but I just don't feel like committing to that. So anyways, I just finished You on Netflix, so it is still rather fresh. I am still making up my mind. I am still trying to comprehend what it is that I just saw, but I will give you my initial opinions, which I reserve the right for them to change at any second. And I need to take a little sip of water because, like I always tell you, stay hydrated. And I need to adjust because my leg fell asleep. And sometimes I really wish I was asleep, but I wonder what that's like. Well, I haven't experienced it in forever. Maybe tomorrow I will be able to enjoy a little bit of sleep, but I don't think that's going to happen because so now with having so much things to do, I try to do all of them, obviously, but with the days being, although tomorrow it is supposed to be very shitty weather, which I will also get to the weather. You know what? Let me just take a sip of my water. Make me sweat, make me harder, make me lose my breath, make me water. I apologize. Tyler, shout out. What does that mean? I don't know. Shout out to Tyler. Yeah, refreshing. You know what I found out recently? I was talking to my colleague and she told me, because we have the same type of thermos bottles, she told me she washes her bottle every single day. I've never felt more inferior and disgusting in my entire life. Because if I wash my bottle once a week, that's a big thing. And one of my friends keeps making fun of me and like also is genuinely concerned about me because he's like, you're drinking mold. Wash your bottle. And the thing is, the second I get a consistent sleep schedule, the second I start washing my water bottle every single day, the second I create a skincare routine and stick to it, it's over for you bitches. Just so you know, I'm not working in silence because I literally never shut up, but I'm getting there. I am getting there. I have been more consistent with my skincare routine. I actually have been using the lotion I bought. Who would have thought that's possible? Also, I'm in one of those periods so I now have run out of moisturizer. I have run out of body scrub. I just bought sunscreen and we all know those aren't cheap. And what else did I run out of? All the treatments I use on my face, from hyaluronic acid, from niacinamide, to like the caffeine infused under eye cream I use, all of them are out. And it's in moments like these when I'm struggling financially so fucking much and I'm wondering, will I be able to get bread? I run out of everything. And now it is a time, I just bought fabric softener last week. I cannot deal with, for example, my laundry detergent and God forbid my olive oil running out now, because I don't think I would be able to financially recover. Oh, also, my cleanser is out, and I think it is time for me to start experimenting, or at least give a try to Korean skincare because everybody keeps hyping it. My friends who study medicine told me that it is not fit for my skin because I am Caucasian, so it is not like tailored to the way my skin is structured and the needs my skin has. But I don't know, I still think I will give it a try because I don't have sensitive skin. My skin, shout out to my skin, man. My skin, I love you, my skin. Because she is very durable in the sense that she's not sensitive. I may be sensitive on the inside, but on the outside, not as much. So that's why up until like a few years ago, I was using, well, I'm not implying that drugstore products are bad. I still use drugstore products, but like I was using the shittiest things on my face. So shout out to my skin because like I am super thankful that I've never had, knock on wood, problematic skin. And shout out to my parents for giving me that type of skin because it is very, well, it is not low maintenance. It still requires care. It still wants to be pampered. But I know that my lack of consistency, it may affect me in the future because come on, I am white. We white people age like raisins. I am going to be wrinkled as shit, but that is okay and that should be okay and we should normalize this because aging people wrinkle and that is okay. But the thing is, so I know that people who struggle with sensitive skin, if they don't stick to their regime, they will experience breakouts. They will experience, for example, discoloration or just any, like, it would be visible. So I'm super, super grateful. And I'm not saying this to boast, by the way. I don't know why I'm even saying it. So back to you. Hello, you. Every single time I would say you, from now on, I would just say, hello, you. So I am severely disturbed by the 5th season, which I think was the entire point, not only of the 5th season, but of the entire show, to be disturbed, to be alert, to be mindful of the people we give our trust to people who we allow to be loved by. And Penn Badgley is an amazing actor because he made me fear him. He made me empathize with his character, but he made me resent his character. And the thing is, okay, spoilers. Of course I'm going to give spoilers. So if you have not seen the 5th season of You, or if you've not seen the show altogether, I highly, highly recommend it. I know it's based on books. I have not read the books, but if they are as good as the series, I just think that You is one of Netflix's biggest successes, which is why I'm also excited to see what they end up doing with Stranger Things, because Stranger Things, and for example, Big Mouth and Outer Banks and like some other big, massive shows are some of Netflix's most successful, most profitable, and just largest image building, image creating, image establishing. Those are all synonyms. I don't know why I said all of them. Like I could have stuck with image building projects. And it's just very interesting to see how the platform that is boasting so much success because of series of the sort, how it approaches the ending of such a blockbuster of a series. And it is just interesting when you see that a platform can accept the fact that it is high time for it to put an end to a series. Because, for example, You, as much as I love the series and as much as I have been following it from the very beginning of that series, which it is one of the few series which I have been following live as they get released. Same with Big Mouth. And I now today Also, the final season of Big Mouth was released, and I cannot wait to watch it, but I'm also super, super sad that it's ending because I love Big Mouth and I don't think I would ever get tired of Big Mouth. And I'm super happy that they created Human Resources, but Human Resources already ended, and I'm just going to miss Big Mouth. And I quote Big Mouth on the daily religiously. And every single time I wash my hands and they're still damp, and I just like touch someone or something, and I just say, I just wash my hands. That's why they're wet. No other reason. And nobody seems to get it. And I'm going to miss Big Mouth. I really hope the last season doesn't disappoint, but I don't think it will because Nick Kroll, also that person is just phenomenally and indescribably talented because he voices like 70% of the characters on that show. And it's just the dedication to be the writer, the creator, the producer, and the voice actor. I am in awe of people who put their heart and soul into something they believe in. And it really shines through. But back to you. Hello, you. I am going to go back to Big Mouth once I finish Big Mouth, but I haven't even started watching the last season of Big Mouth because honestly, it is one of those things like I don't know if I want to watch the last season because that means it's over. And I don't think, for example, with Gravity Falls, I don't think I've ever finished watching the very last episode because I knew that once I watch it, it's over. There's nothing more to look forward to. And I love having something to look forward to. And anyways, so to you, back to you. Hello, you. So what I think is really fascinating about the way this series was established was the fact that you, at times just forget what a monster Joe Goldberg is. No matter how many times Ben Badgley is out there reminding you, hey, Joe Goldberg is a villain. You should not be supporting him. You should not be thirsting over him. But just the way his story, his narrative, and his persona, well, again, all synonyms in a way that I could have just stuck to the first word I used that I don't even remember what it was because honestly, I have been recording for like almost 40 minutes. I don't remember a single word I said. Good luck, Charlie. Anyways, so I just think that the way they establish his character at times makes you empathize with him because you are like, this is just someone who's hurt. This is someone who's traumatized, and this trauma unlocked a severe mental illness, mental disorder. Just that person is sick, and he is very likely not savable. But you forget that he is literally a serial killer, that he is literally responsible for the murders of so many people. Well, this is literally the definition of a serial killer. Hello. Magdalena, get a grip of yourself and stop repeating every single thing you say, but just like under a different word formulation, will you? Thank you. So it's just, you forget that he's a monster because there are glimpses of humanness in him. Because you see him as, you just empathize with someone because they just want to be loved and they just want to love. And it's just very interesting to get a glimpse into the psyche of someone who perceives love the way Joe Goldberg does. And I honestly, again, spoiler alert for you, hello, you, I thought that the 5th and final season would end with Joe dying. Because I thought he needed to die for the story to end, for the closure to be served, for the narrative to be concluded, for the victims to get their justice, for justice to be served. And Joe ended up not dying. It's really interesting how Bronte and Kate ended up not dying, because the thing is, Kate was shot, then smacked with a hammer, then she was bleeding out, and then she was entrapped in an arsoned bookstore. How did she survive? Did Bronte go back for her? How, or did Maddie go back for her? I really don't know. But the thing is, Bronte also didn't die. Bronte also shot. Bronte also severely physically assaulted. Bronte drowned. Bronte sunk down to the bottom of the lake. And then she shows up and she shoots Joe Goldberg in the dick. Iconic, I won't lie. But a little bit too superhero-y, too fantasy, non-human immortality like, which I get it, like the whole thing surrounding the story of Forever Ever After, not Forever, Happily Ever After, is about this immortality narrative. But this was a tad bit too unrealistic for me. Obviously, after I finished the series, I spent 10 minutes scrolling through Instagram comments because, Instagram is your biggest critic. Well, TikTok and Reddit is, but I don't use those apps because I deleted TikTok. Not because I'm better than you. I actually am so not better than, hello, you. I just was highly addicted to TikTok, and I thought I have to go cold turkey, like I am deleting the app. And then Reddit, I never got into Reddit because I don't necessarily see the appeal of Reddit. I have done ethnography on Reddit and I did not enjoy it. I think that people on Reddit can be rather mean. I'm sorry if you're a Redditor and you're not mean, and I'm sorry to make such generalizations and stereotyping, but Reddit people are not always kind, and I don't enjoy that type of negativity. So anyways, and people in those Instagram comment sections were not necessarily too fond of the way the narrative was developed in the last season. They call it too woke, too unrealistic, which the unrealistic part I get. The wokeness of it all, I still have not, is it just because a man gets what he deserves and gets to suffer for the rest of his life for hurting women? Is this the wokeness? I don't know. But yeah, I thought Joe has to die for the story to conclude. Turns out Joe doesn't die. Joe is imprisoned for life, which I think in some cases, or perhaps in cases where you deal with someone who has the concept of self, who has critical thought, and someone who is aware of themselves and their actions, this might be a bigger punishment, because the goal is to sit and ponder and wonder about what you've done and what brought you to this point in life. So life sometimes can be harder and harsher than death. And I think this is what they tried to convey, that death sometimes is an easy way out, especially, for example, for abusers and people of the Joe Goldberg rank. And perhaps if they are imprisoned, it might be a more severe punishment because they are forced to live a life deprived of love and care and the presence of someone, which is the thing they crave. And I'm, by the way, not trying to sound like a psychotherapist. It's just, my immediate reaction to what I saw. And the thing is, again, with empathizing with Joe, there have been times where, I was rooting for him. I was rooting for his redemption. I was rooting for his happily ever after, for his new beginnings, for his just salvation. But I think what sealed the deal of my perception of Joe as someone to avoid, as someone to fear, rather than empathize with, because here's the thing, empathy and fear are not exclusive. But in instances like these, it is important to remember who the actual victim is and who the actual villain is. And I'm not saying that people are categorized in these two tropes and that those tropes don't overlap. Of course, you are the villain in someone's story and you are perhaps the victim in your own. But it's just this multi-layeredness was very, I think, nicely encapsulated through the second half of the last episode of the series. Because I think the way that second half was structured was super necessary for people like me who empathize with Joe, which perhaps is almost every single viewer, because this is what they were trying to do, to make you at times empathize with him, because this is what makes you forget who he is, what he is. And I think the whole idea of wanting you to empathize with him at times is so that you can feel what the characters of the women who were with Joe felt, how they felt gaslit, how they felt manipulated, how they just were compelled by him, just in some sort of trance around him, how his presence was so powerful that you forgot who he is and you were just obsessed with the idea of who he might be. So I think the second half of the last episode was extremely necessary, because in this empathy, you kind of become forgetful of who he is, because, you know, he redeems himself through gestures, through things he says, through finding love. And sure, you at first are like, oh my God, no, he's cheating, he's disloyal, he murdered this person to be with this person. But then, because you see the depth in that relationship for at least 2 episodes, you're like, wait, this could be it. And it's just a continuous narrative, which again, I shout out to Netflix for calling it quits when they had to, because I feel like there was a very severe potential of the story being overtold and dragged over so much that it diluted to a point where it was just not enjoyable the way, for example, I'm sorry, but Riverdale was, because Riverdale, first season, amazing. Second season, a little bit decline. Third season, a little bit decline, even more. And after like the first half of third season, I did not watch, because, and also every single thing I've learned about Riverdale from that point on has been against my will, and every single thing has been more and more confusing. So it is important to know when to put a full stop to a production, because if you are in the chase of the money grab, because this has been a raging success, you risk ruining an entire franchise. So yes, that second half of the last episode, extremely necessary, because you get reminded of what and who Joe Goldberg is. Because I feel like this is perhaps the most aggressive we have seen him, and that was necessary. Because that is the thing about abusers. They know how to manipulate you. They know how to get you on their side despite ruining your life. Because that is the whole thing about abusers. They're not only physically abusive, they're also mentally abusive, emotionally abusive. And this, I think, was the nail in the coffin of seeing the abuser as an abuser. Because the trauma may be explanatory, it may be defining to a certain point, but the trauma is not an excuse. And what I really liked is when Bronte, who, by the way, is the only other character in the entire series, as far as I remember, unless it was also done with love, but I don't think it was done with love. I think Bronte is the only character in the entire series whose thought process we also get a glimpse of apart from Joe's. Because, the whole narrative is centered around Joe and his perception and his episodes and his narrative, and he is the one in a way in control of the narrative, but not necessarily in control, just in control of his perceptions, maybe is the more correct way to put it. And getting a glimpse into another character's way of thinking, I think was an extremely nice touch to level the two characters and to see that Joe Goldberg has finally found his match. And I'm not saying that Bronte is an evil or that she I really like the way they developed her character. I feel like they could have done a little bit more at the end. I feel like it was a tiny little bit rushed, the ending, in those very early 2000s rom-com endings of, how in the early 2000s, the rom-coms, when they would end, they would just like a freeze frame of the character. And Johnny now is a varsity soccer player. What the fuck is varsity? I have no clue. Why the fuck did I just say soccer and not football as a true European? I don't know. Exactly. So like just saying stuff for the sake of saying stuff. So this is kind of what they did. I would have liked more developed narratives in the end. But I really like this glimpse into the psyche of another character, because this is how we were starting to see that Joe's empire built on abuse that was done to him, abuse that he did to others, was just starting to crumble. And it was not going to be his happily ever after. And it was not going to grant him the immortality of love that he so craved. So what Bronte said, it was, I'm not going to quote it perfectly, but it was something along the lines of, women like me, her, just cope with the reality of men like you through the vision of you, of the idea of men like you. Because Joe presents himself as an extremely romantic, thoughtful, detailed person who is looking out for their partner and their safety and just wants to love them in a way he can and in a way he thinks they deserve. This is the idea he presents. And in reality, that idea of him, while it might be there, its manifestation through his actions is just torturous and scary. And I think that this show, apart from having an amazing soundtrack, because they always choose good music, although at times I was like, what is Guilty? Like, Guilty as Sin has nothing to do with the narrative here, but go on, Pop Off Queen. It's just like, they used Taylor Swift's music in the previous season, might as well use it now. And also I really like that Cardi B made an appearance, because I know Cardi B has been publicly outspoken about her enjoyment of the series. So it was really nice that they honored this parasocial relationship between the two, in such a way. I thought it was very funny. But so this show, apart from great music, apart from being, I think, visually stunning, but also I'm someone who is not doing well with blood. So as someone who is now scared, and also this blood and the second part of the last episode just put forward the narrative of vampires and how he's just someone who is a vampire in the life, symbolical vampire. Well, symbolical or not so much, in the sense of like killing people. Vampire in the life of people he targets with his love, because his love is targeting. His love is not giving. So it's not giving, but so I think this series might have opened a really nice conversation. Well, not that there's a nice conversation about abuse, but it's just opened the floor to having conversations surrounding abuse and the many forms it may take. And it's just, it gives hope that justice will be served, although I don't know how much it can be relied on justice being served. in the real world, unfortunately. But it's just, I don't know, I think it's a good series. And as sad as I am to see it go, I am happy that they did not overuse the character to a point where I get exhausted and don't ever want to see it ever again. Speaking like this now, thinking of vampires made me think of Sinners, which I went to see, and I also have my thoughts on Sinners to share with you. But as for now, let's leave the because it is, guys, 2 a.m. I don't need to be thinking about vampires because I am already quite triggered by all the gory, bloody images that I was staring at when I was watching you. Because the thing is, I am terrified of blood. I faint when I see blood. I'm not good with blood. Although, ironically, in a case of emergency, I am always there ready to help and being able to help. So I don't know. I feel like just the adrenaline overshadows my fear. But I just couldn't look away. Despite my fear, it was just so captivating because you're like, is this the moment when Joe dies? And as much as I think Joe should have died so that there is some evenness, I think his punishment is a well-deserved one. And the Joe Goldberg character deserves to rot in loneliness because he inflicted so much pain. But I feel like I'm getting too cynical with my thoughts and the way I'm putting them, and I feel like I still need some time to think about the things I saw and analyze them from different points of view. And also, again, I don't need to be thinking about vampires at 2 a.m. because I'm already scared from what I saw. I don't need to scare myself further with images of someone, God forbid, just, oh my God, seeing Joe just bite off his arm so that he can access the key he put in there. That's so gruesome. Like, how does one think of this? It's just crazy. But I don't know, man. I really don't know what I'm thinking of the series. Well, I know I loved the series. I don't remember much of it. It was one of those series where I needed to rewatch the prior season before starting the new season, but I never did. So I relied on recaps, and because it's such a long commitment. Well, it's only 10 episodes per season, but like each episode is 1 hour, which is a lot, especially when you have to catch up. And I love binge watching, and I really, really am happy that Netflix posted this one in one go because of this trend of now going back to releasing an episode per week or episodes in 2 halves, so that, seasons in 2 halves is what I meant, sorry. So that they can keep the hype up. I am happy that they released the entire season in one go because this is a binge-worthy show. And if you've never seen You, I highly recommend that you do, because it's just a captivating story. And I feel like there's so much depth in that story that can be overshadowed by the pretty faces you see on screen. But let's not forget what the story is all about. The story is about abuse. But because I'm scared that I may say something that triggers people or that just doesn't do the pain justice, I feel like this is a nice ending point for me. So thank you guys so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this one. And I hope to see you in the next one, where hopefully I have a little bit of more structure when it comes to the things I want to talk about. And hopefully I am not that affected by blood-sucking vampires at 2 a.m. unless it's Michael B. Jordan. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode. I hope to see you in the next one. But until then, stay hydrated, wear sunscreen, and don't support genocide. Bye!